What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 fades for this week's Masters. These are golfers that I will either be avoiding completely, or I just think that sentiment is too high on them in either fantasy or to bet them outright, and I will be underweight on them in terms of exposure. You can tell me how wrong I am on the live chat Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. We will do final ownership, thoughts, question and answer, weather reports, pairings, scripting, whatever you want to talk about. That is your time. So join me then. But for now, let's, I guess, jump into the fades for this week. And we're going to go from the bottom up. So we'll reveal the low-hanging fruit first, build the suspense, and then get to the fades at the top of the board. Let's start with Henrik Stenson. He is $6,800 on DraftKings, and he is 200 to 1 to win the Masters. I think this is fair. The reason he becomes a fade is the course history, right? I mean, he's got great course history at a 5th place finish a couple of years ago. He's only missed one cut since 2011. He is kind of a household name, right? We've seen him win major championships in runaway fashion, but we are pretty far removed from that version of Henrik Stenson, who's missed 5 of his last 6 cuts. In fact, he withdrew at the Houston Open last week. The ball striking numbers are much more erratic than we've ever seen from Henrik Stenson. The game is just not very sharp. You know, he hasn't played a whole bunch since the restart, and this is just kind of an awkward situation where I know that course history is so critically important, and I know that Henrik Stenson has had some decent run here, but these two things are not converging, and Henrik Stenson is the first guy I'm staying away from. Next is Jordan Spieth, and again, this feels like low-hanging fruit, and I think it is, but you have to remember, we've never had a Masters during football season, so that will bring in even more casual players, guys who normally play NFL on DraftKings, for example, and they'll put in some Millie Maker lineups, and they'll say, oh, Jordan Spieth, he's pretty good at Augusta National, right? He's won the Masters before. Let me play him. Well, let me remind you not to play him. He's lost strokes off the tee in 10 consecutive events. He's lost strokes on approach in 4 of his last 5. He's lost strokes putting in 6 of his last 8 starts. I mean, just the entire game is in shambles right now. Can he get any magic going at Augusta National? Sure, it's possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. There's very little evidence of it. So for me, Jordan Spieth, don't be one of those guys who comes in and says Jordan Spieth has great Masters history. I'm going to roster him, see if he can rekindle that magic. I'm not going to. I don't think you should either. Out on Jordan Spieth. Justin Rose is another popular, well-known name who has had great history at Augusta National. He has the 2 runner-up finishes, including losing in a playoff to Sergio Garcia, right? He has finished inside the top 15 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his 9 trips to the Masters. He has 8 top 25 finishes. He missed the cut last year. That was the only time that he didn't have a top 25 finish. So you look at it and it's just absolutely pristine. But again, what is Justin Rose up to right now? Well, he's lost strokes from tee to green in each of his last 3 starts. But even more than that, it seems to be something different every single time. You know, you go to the Zozo Championship, he actually put together a pretty decent T17. He lost strokes on approach. He lost strokes around the green. The start before that, CJ Cup, loses a bunch of strokes off the tee, and he can't putt. Then you go to the U.S. Open. He has a terrible approach 2 rounds is what it was because he missed the cut. Then you go to the Northern Trust, and he was pretty good in most categories, but he lost strokes in the short game. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is this whack-a-mole. And this is what it has been since the restart for Justin Rose, where it's just, he doesn't have any one part of his game that he can rely on. He doesn't have any one part of his game that's holding him back. It's just a little bit of everything each and every week. It does not offer much confidence in the current state of his game, and for that reason, I'm out on Justin Rose. Webb Simpson is going to have to be a fade for me this week, and that it absolutely hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to say. I love Webb Simpson in every way. First of all, he's $9,300 on DraftKings. He is 40-1 to win this golf tournament. I actually have a ticket on him at probably 40 or 50 from a couple of months ago, maybe after RBC Heritage. And I love everything about Webb Simpson's game. You know, I'm on record saying when these guys leave the tee box, he's the best player on the PGA Tour, fairway through greens, and I firmly believe that. The problem is the weather. And all of the early indications and reports that we've got boots on the ground at Augusta National, is that they can probably keep the greens firmish, kind of normal, what we would expect with all of this rain in the forecast, but it's going to play a lot longer. We've heard the anecdotes from players. We've heard that from media that we have on the ground there. It's just going to play long, and that really hurts someone like Webb, who's one. I don't even want to call it a deficiency, but his one deficiency is that he does not hit the ball very far. And usually at a lot of different golf courses, he can make that up. But I'm really concerned about it, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, Webb, outside of last year's top 5 or his 5th place finish, he doesn't have a great run of success at Augusta National. He's got 3 missed cuts. He has a 44th place finish. And then the other 3 times outside of that 5th place were 20th, 29th, and 28th. So, I mean, it doesn't elicit a whole lot of confidence in either the course history or the way it's going to set up for him this year. So, unfortunately, with a heavy heart, I have to be out on Webb Simpson. 16-1 Brooks Koepka is he's my final. Actually, he's not my final. I'll give you a bonus fade in a second. Is a fade for me, and I get it. It's major season. He's gonna flip the switch. He's going to figure it out. He flashed greatness in Houston last week, and I would argue, did he? Did he flash greatness in Houston last week? He lost strokes on approach last week. Don't forget that. The driver, yes, looked much better than what we had seen from him recently, but he gained 6.5 strokes putting, another near 2, 1.5 around the greens. It was his third best short game performance in his entire career. Do I think he's going to gain 6 strokes putting at Augusta National or anywhere for that matter? No. Do I think he's going to gain 8 strokes in the short game? Absolutely not. And if his iron game is not sharp like last week, it's going to be a big concern. This is even before you throw in any of the knee issues, right? Where he's kind of told us sometimes it feels good, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it hurts when I walk downhill. Like, I'm not even talking about the knee. I'm talking about the performance that got everybody all hot and bothered, all lathered up last week with a 5th place finish in Houston. A little bit of a fool's gold performance for me. If he's going to find success at Augusta, it is not going to be because he gained 6 strokes putting. So I'm going to take a stand on Brooks, especially if you've missed out on it, especially if you're trying to get in now on the odds. You've kind of missed because he's gotten shorter over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if he can just flip the switch and figure it out if the irons aren't there. So for that reason, again, out on Brooks Koepka. And then here's a bonus one for you. So I kind of dove into this a little bit on the betting preview. If you want to get really freaky and you want to bet Bryson to win at 7.5-1, you should probably also bet him to miss the cut at 7-1, right? Like I think the outcomes for Bryson are very extreme this week. I think he might win this by 6 shots. I think he might miss the cut. I already have a bet in on him, so I'm trying not to play both sides of this, but I do want to present you a pathway in which things go very wrong for Bryson. He's going to try to hit so many unique shots that we've never seen before. He's going to try to cut the corner on 13. He might try to cut the corner and hit a big high draw on 2. He's just going to take on a lot more risk. Now, that might work out beautifully and he might just run away with this thing. But I also could see his, ball rattling around in the trees a little bit, staring double or triple bogey in the face. We know he struggled putting at Augusta National. The approach game hasn't been all that sharp. And if he's leaving himself with a lot of these 100 to 125 yard shots in, he's going to have to be really sharp there. So let me be clear, or I guess this isn't even that clear, because Bryson could break Augusta National, but he also could be broken by Augusta National, right? I just think this is such an interesting situation. There is, unlike some of these top guys, I don't think there's as big of a path to a missed cut for Rory, for DJ, for Justin Thomas, for John Rahm. I don't think there's that big of a path to missing the cut for those guys. I think there is a bigger path for Bryson to miss the cut. So it's an interesting idea to think about. We'll ruminate over the course of the next day or so. We'll talk about it on the live chat, I'm sure, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. But I'll give you a little bonus, not even really like a fade because I already have a bet in on him, but a little something to think about as you're watching the Masters over the course of the week. So let me know what you think. Tweet me at Rick Run Good. See you on Wednesday. Enjoy.